The world's first professional army wasn't just skilled in battle, they were masters of fear. After victory, Assyrian soldiers built pyramids, not of stone, but of severed heads. This gruesome display was calculated propaganda. Resist us, and this will be your fate. The Assyrians understood that war was won in the mind before the battlefield. By the time their army reached your city, you'd already heard the stories and seen the terrifying carvings. Their reputation was as deadly as their weapons. Unlike earlier armies of part-time farmers, the Assyrians created a permanent professional force. These soldiers didn't return to their fields. War was their only job. This changed everything. Constant training made them experts, and the army became a relentless machine. The Assyrian army was a tool of conquest and control, not just destruction. Their innovation wasn't just in fighting, but in psychological warfare. The Assyrians built a system where fear traveled faster than their chariots. Their military machine was the most dominant of its time. This is the story of how a kingdom in northern Mesopotamia built a force that would echo through history. It's a story of innovation, ruthless organization, and a legacy that shaped the ancient world. The Assyrian way of war became legend, whispered in the pages of the Old Testament. Their methods set a new standard for military power. They didn't just conquer, they controlled, intimidated, and transformed the very idea of empire. The world would never see warfare the same way again. The Assyrian army was more than soldiers. It was a weaponized state. And it all began with a throne of skulls. Every revolution needs an architect. For the Assyrians, it was Tiglath-Pileser III. He took the throne around 745 BC, inheriting a kingdom beset by enemies and rebellion. The old system of seasonal farmer soldiers was failing. The empire was too vast and unstable. Tiglath-Pileser saw the need for radical change. He envisioned a unified state, not just a patchwork of rebellious vassals. His answer, a permanent professional army, loyal only to the state. He broke the power of local governors, reorganized the empire, and centralized control. The state now funded, equipped, and trained soldiers year-round. These were no longer part-time warriors. They were full-time professionals. Their loyalty was to their unit, their commander, and the empire itself. This new identity forged a powerful, unified force. Tiglath-Pileser's reforms created the first true military machine. He unleashed it on his neighbors, expanding Assyria's borders with ruthless efficiency. The army became the backbone of the empire's power. His innovations set the template for every imperial army that followed. Tiglath-Pileser didn't just win battles. He built a system for perpetual conquest. The Assyrian state became a weapon, and he was its forge master. The age of the professional soldier had begun. To be a professional Assyrian soldier meant your life belonged to the state. Soldiers trained year-round, stationed in garrisons, drilling relentlessly. Discipline and cohesion set them apart. On the battlefield, they moved as one. Unlike levy armies, they held their ground and regrouped under pressure. The army offered a path for advancement. Skill and bravery could elevate even a commoner. Conquered peoples were recruited, integrating the empire and ensuring a steady flow of manpower. This system required a vast bureaucracy. Officials managed supplies, weapons, and pay. The entire economy was reoriented to support the army. Grain, metal, and taxes all fueled the war machine. The Assyrian state became the first true war economy. Soldiers were professionals, not part-timers. The result, an army that was always ready, always deadly. The professional soldier was the heart of Assyria's power. War was no longer a season. It was a way of life. Tiglath-Pileser's reforms brought specialization to the Assyrian army. The force was divided into branches: infantry, cavalry, engineers, each with a distinct role. Spearmen formed the core, heavily armored and disciplined. Archers, protected by shield-bearers, unleashed devastating volleys. Chariots evolved into heavy shock weapons, crashing through enemy lines. Cavalry became a true strike force, outflanking and pursuing foes. This combined arms approach made the Assyrian army unpredictable and deadly. Enemy commanders faced threats from every direction: arrows, spears, cavalry, and chariots. The army could adapt to any battlefield, choosing the right mix of units for victory. It was a tactical revolution: flexibility, coordination, and overwhelming force. The Assyrian army became a symphony of destruction. Every branch worked in concert, amplifying the power of the whole. This was not just an army, it was a war machine, and it was nearly unstoppable. The Assyrians were relentless innovators in military technology. They embraced iron, arming their soldiers with superior swords, spears, and armor. State-controlled forges mass-produced weapons, ensuring every soldier was well-equipped. Their composite bows outranged and outpowered enemy archers. Coordinated volleys created storms of iron-tipped arrows, breaking enemy lines before contact. Logistics were another weapon. Royal roads and supply depots let armies move fast and stay supplied. The Assyrian army could strike anywhere, arriving stronger and faster than any rival. Standardized equipment and rapid movement gave them a decisive edge. Their technological and logistical mastery made conquest efficient. The Assyrian war machine was always ready, always advancing. Innovation was as crucial as courage. Their tools of conquest reshaped the ancient world. Walled cities once meant safety, until the Assyrians redefined siege warfare. They built massive wheeled siege towers, protected from fire, to deliver troops onto battlements. Archers atop these towers cleared defenders from the walls. Battering rams, housed in armored frames, smashed gates and walls with relentless force. Specialized engineers tunneled under walls, collapsing them from below. Earthen ramps let siege engines reach new heights. The Assyrians attacked over, through, and under city defenses. Their sieges were swift, aggressive, and terrifyingly effective. No city was safe. Resistance meant destruction. The art of the siege became a science of fear. Assyrian innovation made city walls obsolete. Their mastery of siege warfare was unmatched. The empire's enemies learned nowhere was truly secure. The Assyrian genius was as much psychological as tactical. They weaponized fear, making resistance seem hopeless. Their brutality was deliberate. Flaying, impalement, and pyramids of heads sent a clear message. These acts were public warnings: surrender and live, resist and suffer. Mass deportations broke local identities and prevented rebellion. Entire populations were relocated, mixing cultures and diluting resistance. The threat of exile was often enough to ensure compliance. The Bible's 10 lost tribes are a legacy of this policy. The Assyrian brand was terror, efficient, calculated, and effective. Their reputation kept the empire in line for centuries. Fear was their most powerful weapon. The Assyrian name became synonymous with domination. Their psychological warfare was as enduring as their armies. The Assyrian Empire fell, but its military legacy endured. Their model of a professional, state-funded army became the blueprint for future empires. Babylonians, Persians, Greeks, and Romans all borrowed Assyrian innovations. The Persian immortals and Roman legions were direct descendants of this system. Siege tactics, road networks, and combined arms, all pioneered by Assyria. The Assyrians wrote the textbook on imperial warfare. Their influence shaped the armies that conquered the world. The professional soldier, the war economy, the weaponized state, these were Assyrian gifts to history. Their tactics faded, but their ideas endured. The shadow of Assyria stretches across centuries of military evolution. Their echoes still march in the doctrines of today. The Assyrian army's story is a lesson in power and innovation. Tiglath-Pileser's reforms were as revolutionary as any in history. The Assyrians built an empire through brilliance and brutality. Their methods shaped the ancient world and set the standard for military might. Understanding Assyria is key to understanding every empire that followed. Their story is a reminder. History is shaped by those who dare to change it. Every artifact, every ruin, has a story to tell. The Assyrians' legacy is a foundation of our present. This is just one chapter in the epic of human history. Keep exploring, there are countless stories waiting to be discovered. The journey into the past never truly ends.